All right, hello. This is Alexander Wales. I'm joined by my sister today. It's not a writing stream. It is AI art. We're going to be talking about AI art, stuff to do with it, the ways in which it frustrates me, and a bunch of other stuff. Okay.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ani. I'm his sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My sister's a painter, primarily watercolor with ink,
Watercolor with
with
ink,
pen. Yeah.
though I kind of dabble a little bit in everything. Have definitely taken up digital painting in the last couple years as well. So excited to talk a little bit about how AI art will influence that in both ways. And yeah,
Okay. So this is Dream Studio. It runs Stable Diffusion. So there are three ones that I'll at least talk about. So this is Dream Studio. It runs Stable Diffusion, which is a open source model. It's not as powerful as some of the ones that Google has, which are not public yet, like Party or Imagen. And it's arguably as powerful as DALI. So this is Stable Diffusion. We'll use a tiny bit. This is Midjourney, which you have to use through Discord. So these are like images generated last night. This, in fact, is a variations that it attempted on a picture of poppies that you did.
cool.
It's like obviously there's a bunch of flaws here, like ways in which like this is not what a poppy looks like. But I fed it an image of poppies because I want to see how much it can do. We'll talk about variations a little bit, and then this is Dolly, which is the or Dolly 2, which is the original. Can generate images, but we'll start with this because I paid $10 last night. Gives you 1,000 generations, roughly. So 1,000 pictures. This is their default prompt that you can put in, and that's about how long it takes. And there's whatever. So this is. I wanted to talk about three things with you. One is plain image generation, which is what this is. The second is variations, where you feed it an image and it'll try to make its own version of that image. And then the third is in painting, which is where you like erase part of the picture and you're like, hey, I need something to go there.
Cool.
Um, so this prompt is has a bunch of parts to it. Prompts are usually divided into semantic and style parts, but the way to understand these models is they are very dumb and they want to make a very average painting. And they're very good at doing like normal stuff. So semantic content is just whatever it is, and then you can specify an artist. You can so how do you spell
I
Matisse?
think it's two T's. I could be wrong though.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine here. Okay.
Yep, I was wrong.
but you so the trending on ArtStation, all this does is this like a hack to try to get it to have better results, because all the images that it was fed, some of them had trending on ArtStation in the like descriptor of it, so it was fed those, and those are like more artistic
Okay.
or better quality. You can add in all kinds of stuff here. You can add like oil painting. We just try this. So you can add a medium to it, and it'll try its best.
Okay, cool.
So and then we can remove Caspar David Frederick, and we can do that, and this will be more in the style of Matisse, or at least what it understands the style of Matisse to be. There it is blurring this because it thinks that this is like a pornographic or gory image. So like this is, it's like, oh, this is more like Matisse would do, and then you can do like Van Gogh, and you can say watercolor. This is probably confusing for it but it's like very dumb, and so it's
Sure.
like Van Gogh like didn't really do watercolors, like he was. Oh right, this is a problem if you use Van Gogh, is that it's overtrained on Starry Night. And so it has just recreated Starry Night for us. It's like, oh, did you mean Starry Night?
Like a worse version of Starry Night.
A worse version of Starry Night, yes. Okay, they have a prompt guide here, which is like, this is a very kind of bad guide, but so style includes like mediums and stuff. You can do like It's all natural language stuff. You can just add in a bunch of stuff. We can do Vermeer. No, we'll try Rembrandt. Vermeer is overtrained on a girl's pearl earring. I'm not so sure what trending on ArtStation HQ actually does.
Yeah, that was going to be my question too.
It's supposed to just make it better, like generically better. Also, if you include an artist, it'll usually do like their default style or their default medium.
Sure. Okay.
Who did the flowers that look like vaginas? That was George O'Keeffe. So I don't usually remove this, but I don't actually think it does a lot.
Could you try without and see how if it? I guess
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily. Okay.
So we can try that, and then we can just try it like flowers. This will probably be overtrained, is my guess. I think that they're supposed to do a process called deduplication, where they don't feed in the same image over and over. Like that's not that close, but it tries. And like that's okay. You can put in absolutely whatever you want here, even if it doesn't make sense, and it'll make an attempt.
Okay.
Because it doesn't understand. It's like kind of trained on language and stuff. Like that's not that good. But then you can do like a photo of a dog. We'll talk about some of the ways that it fucks up, because it fucks up a lot. But like that's that's close, right?
Sure. It looks like a dog.
It looks like a dog, but it will try to do a very average photo of a dog. It will not be like very inspired. It runs into problems where you're trying to get to do original stuff. Mm-hmm. That's okay. I have had a lot of problems. So in Worth the Candle, there's a 6-eyed deer.
Okay.
And I wanted a picture of it. And this doesn't know how to count. So we'll see if it fails this test, but it's usually pretty bad at counting, especially if you're asking it. Well, it's 3 monkeys. That's 3.
They're really creepy looking monkeys.
They are okay. This is the other problem, is that the more subjects you have in a particular picture, the worse each subject will be. This is obviously not 6 monkeys. This is just 1 monkey.
Okay.
But the more that you have in it, the worse it'll be. We say a photo of a CEO. Humans, it's like, look at the hands there.
And the eyes.
The eyes are not very good. Yeah. Midjourney does better with the eyes. I don't know why. It's probably how it's trained or something. But the eyes are one of the things that screws up a lot. Teeth, it's not very good at, and hands. But like the suits, suit's fine, right? One of the things that you can do is you can like pump this up to 9, right?
Okay.
So you hit the button and it'll make you a grid, and then you can select which one looks the least bad.
Sure. Yep.
Right.
Or the most like what you had in mind before you.
Yeah,
and if you're not
or the
specific.
one, and then this will tell you the seed for it, and then you can select the seed number, generate down, and then instead of a random seed, we'll just use that seed. So how these work behind the scenes, so that's the guy again.
Sorry, what is the seed?
Okay, so how these models work is that it starts with random noise, and it takes a number of steps, in this case 50 steps, to try to get it more toward what it thinks you wanted based on your prompt.
Sure. So the more steps, the more like the closer you're probably going to be, but also the longer it's going to take.
Yeah. So here I'm bumping steps all the way up to 150, which is max. Now it takes 3 credits instead of 1. And it's going to take probably 3 times as long.
Okay, that's a interesting way to make income.
Well, yeah, but the steps in theory, like you'll see, this is not going to change very much, I don't think. that's like slightly crisper.
Yeah.
But it didn't improve his eyes at all.
No, it
which were
actually
the big-
probably made them worse.
Yes. So this is what you use if you like find something you really like. You can increase the number of steps. CFG scale is like how close it's like they say it's how close they are trying to match the prompt, but it's kind of like how much freedom it has to go in different directions.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, 50 is like the default, and that's totally fine. And if you do 150, like you're not necessarily going to.
Sorry, what's the seed?
The seed is the random noise that the image is being generated from. So the reason that all that grid of 9 looks different is because each here we can do so what it's doing is it's starting with like different random noise, and this is the seed that generates the noise. And so each of these has a different starting seed, and that's why they turn out different from each other. It's sort of like
is it like if you weren't like if you're counting and you're not starting at 1 but you're starting at 735?
Yeah, so if we do steps, no, it doesn't let us do steps 10. If we reduce the number of steps to well, okay, it's trying to refine the image basically. It's these are all diffusion models, which means that they're trying to like you start with a super blurry image. It's like so blurry it's just random noise, and you just try to reduce it down. You're just trying to slightly sharpen it into being more like a trash can.
Okay.
And you do that like 10 times or 50 times or whatever, and it gets more and more looking like a trash can as you move it. So depending on what your starting noise is like, the results will be different. Basically this just controls for like what you're starting with, kind of. Like,
okay.
So if you have the same seed and you asked it to generate an image, you can adjust. Well, you can't really adjust height and width because that changes the noise, but this seed with this prompt and these settings will always generate the same image.
Got it. Okay, that makes much more sense.
And then,
in
theory, if you have a long prompt, you can keep the seed the same, and it'll be mostly the same, and you'll just be tweaking minor things about it. But that doesn't always work. Sometimes it's wildly different.
Got it. And if you increase your seed number by 1 or decrease it by 1, is that going to change anything?
It will be totally different.
Okay, it's just going to be completely different.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, that makes sense.
It's just random noise that's fed in as like the starting point for how it tries to do this step-by-step diffusion thing.
Sure.
Midjourney does the same thing. It's just they do it like a style layer on top of it, and it's trained different. It's worse. They had a beta version that these are some from the beta version that like these are better than what Stable Diffusion by itself can do, but the eyes are still like, this is not a bad picture. It's funny they put the flag in the background. You're like American Woman. It's like oh we need a flag. Part of that is because there's a lot of bias built into them because they're like scraped from the internet, and so like American Woman, usually if it's just a woman in America, she won't be labeled as an American woman.
Right.
Whereas a Mongolian woman will almost always be labeled as Mongolian woman.
Sure.
She won't just be labeled as woman.
Yep, that makes sense.
So if you type in American, it's like, oh god, we gotta like get this flag, and you do like these are two of the Statue of Liberty, right? That's not what I wanted at all. Okay.
And I guess then you also have to define, I mean, it would make sense that you would have to define what an American woman was to you in terms of like specificity.
Yeah. So, and then like I was using, I was trying different ethnicities here. So this is like Mongolian woman. It's a black and white photo, traditional dress. Egyptian woman is like traditional dress, but then like you get to English woman, and it's like they don't do those markers in there. Because of like what's in the training data and stuff like that.
Sure.
And then part of what I found really interesting, for Midjourney especially, you do angry woman. It's always a white woman with brown hair, right?
Huh.
So you don't specify anything except that it's a woman with like a various like. These are attempts at emotion, right?
Yeah, that's super interesting.
But it's because of the training data is
That'd be really interesting to, to look at that in terms of a study on inherent bias.
Oh yeah, and, and they always every single one of these papers has like that gets put out for one of these models has like a paragraph on it, and they're like not doing anything about it because they can't really do anything about
it.
Because it's just you'd have to like have the training data be different. And yes, DALL-E has DALL-E has a hack for it where if you put in a woman and it's like, oh, I've detected that you're trying to generate a person, I'm just going to add on a random like race or ethnicity onto that to like do it different. A lot of people don't like that because it has weird results.
Sure.
Right? It has like very weird results. You have people showing up sometimes because it like misfires and it's not very well implemented. DALL-E also takes longer, and I don't really understand why. It might just be a worse model at this point. But this was DALL-E was like a year ago, 2 years ago now, something like that. DALL-E 2. So we'll see if this even loads. Yeah. So it's whatever. DALL-E does 4 images as a default. They are always in the same aspect ratio. You can change that in Dream Studio because I do for the Worth the Candle Exclusions doc I'm working on. I want 70 images and have them all be in 16:9 landscape. But aspect ratio will also change what it attempts to generate because it knows that portraits are in a certain size.
Sure.
And if it's trying to generate a person and you do it in a landscape and you're like, I want a portrait of a person, it'll try to generate it. And then it's like, wait, there's like too much space. Like, what do I do with all this extra space? And it'll just generate 2 people instead.
Interesting.
Like side by side.
Okay.
So the aspect ratio can screw things up a lot, but it's just kind of like these are very, very dumb. And but you can get good images out of them sometimes.
If you're specifying what the background is, does that help a little bit more with the aspect ratio?
It's hard to specify background.
Okay,
it's hard, with these models. That's something that'll be fixed in like 6 months or a year.
So, like, if you're, hey, I want a woman working in a field with a baby on her back.
What style?
I want it in the style of Van Gogh. Let's go Van Gogh again.
Okay, and we'll see if we get Starry Night.
And we'll go
gouache or oil painting.
Let's do oil painting.
So in this case.
We didn't do aspect ratio.
Oh yeah. This we do in this interface, you actually change it here, so we just do max width, and we'll redream this. But you can see aspects of Starry Night.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll sneak into.
It's really interesting because not a single one of them is a baby on her back.
Right. Yes, it's it's extremely hard to do relative positions. Like extremely hard. And like obviously for these two you didn't want to frame, right? Like you didn't
right.
But it's like oil paintings. Oil paintings are in frames sometimes because that's what the input images were.
Sure.
The input images were of the painting within its frame, not just the image itself. So in this case, we get somewhat good results because these are two semantically distinct things. It's a woman in a field with a baby, and you get those 3 elements in most of them.
Sure.
But if you're trying to specify like a woman on the left side of the field or on the right side, it's more difficult. And then it doesn't save any of these images unless you download them. You can regenerate. So yeah, here we get multiple women because it's like doesn't know what to do about it.
Yeah.
Right. We get more Starry Night, like in like all of these backgrounds. Composition it kind of sucks at. Like rule of thirds or like lines of direction. Like this is obviously like like the obvious mistakes and stuff like that.
Though it's funny because the picture number 2 is like kind of similar to what I was thinking in my head. I mean, with mine, obviously the baby's not on her back and it kind of looks like a monkey, but
yeah. mostly what you do. Like, I like this one the best of them, even though there's like less baby. I think because it feels like the off-centeredness of it. But composition is one thing that you basically cannot specify composition because of the way that it's set up. Like in this model, this is something that future models will fix in 6 months.
Sure.
There are current models that can do composition where you just specify, I want a tree on the left side, and it'll be able to do that. But yeah, composition is usually pretty poor. It gets good composition somewhat by accident that follows rule of thirds, or directing your sight lines or having. I think that's why I like this one best, is because you have this big empty field and it adds to the emptiness of it. I also kind of like this one with the big dress.
I think compositionally those two are definitely the.
But yeah, it can do composition a little bit, but it's doing its own compositions, and you can't specify the composition, right? Which is one of the very difficult things of trying to get good generations out of it.
So if you wanted to, when you were talking about the seed earlier, if you wanted to now adjust these pictures, you would have to have that seed to start with?
Yeah.
So you knew where you were?
In theory, and we'll see how well this works, but we'll take the number of images way down, and we will not do a random seed, and we will paste that seed. So in theory, this... Oh, well, it takes longer because it's a wider image. So
sure.
It's like twice the width, which increases the amount of stuff. But we could do...
Say I wanted it at...
Here. We're just going to add 4K.
Add what?
4K, which is just like resolution. This, in theory, will generate us a picture that is different but the same, because the seed is the same and most of the content of the prompt is the same, and it's just going to tweak things a little bit. Sometimes you get a wildly different picture just because of how it works. Okay,
right, they're wildly different.
That is wildly different, so it's one of the things that makes it hard to work with.
Huh. But I can see that, if you can go in and digitally adjust, then
okay, maybe I screwed that up. Let's see if that changes the seed. But yes, you can digitally adjust. Some of these get close, and each of these generations is costing a tenth of a penny.
Right.
So yes. So here's the same seed. This is now 4K, so it's slightly sharper.
Sure.
So yes, I had done the seed incorrectly. But yeah.
So though, as it becomes sharper, you're like, what is going on in that picture?
Yeah.
Compositionally, it's cool, but then you look at it and you're like, I have no.
Okay. So I'm gonna try adding flowers, but we might get a totally different thing because this is a wheat field or something. But yeah, it doesn't always work especially well. No.
Yeah.
So this is
entirely different.
Maybe it's just resetting the seed, even though I don't want it to. I'm going to try this one more time. But yeah, it's very hard to control. It's very hard to pin things in place, which is why we are going to get to variations, which Stable Diffusion can... Okay, see, I think it's just...
And it looks like the same image.
It's almost the same.
Yeah.
It's very, very close, but this had the same seed. Okay, so yeah, I think the seed just, even if you click it on right here, it'll unclick itself, which is because this is 4 days old. Yeah, it's an annoying UI bug, but this came out Monday, so I'm gonna cut it a little bit of slack. Yeah, it works really well when you have a shambling mound of flesh. It actually does. Sometimes you want a shambling mound of flesh. I'm gonna switch capture to Discord. Real quick, and because this is how you use image or imagine. This is Midjourney, so we do let me just copy that entire prompt. Midjourney is worse in some ways and better than others. You just specify the prompt here. I have it set up to automatically append it with a 16:9 aspect ratio, and uplight, which means it spends less time trying to do fine details when I upscale it. And I am actually settings. So settings, I'm going to set to fast for now. We'll do fast mode. Yeah. Okay. Because what it's not doing now is relax. It's just using whatever extra CPU power, and it's like, hey, I'll get it done eventually. That's usually what I use because Midjourney is like $30 a month, so I paid for it for 1 month, and I've done 1,500 images with it so far, which comes out to be a fine price. So you can see the diffusion happening here, right?
Sure. Yep.
You can see it slowly refining from absolute noise down to something better.
So it definitely got the flowers in there more than
the
other one. Yeah. But
okay, so now we can this is what it has generated. We can upscale an image, which means it'll take this image, same seed and everything, and it'll make it bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I think these are better results. They're less in the style of Van Gogh, because Midjourney adds its own style. But we can also do variations. Variations is going to take this image. So you can see that it's like 20. This is 20% diffusion. So this is variations on that image.
Oh, that's cool.
And this is one of the ways to, if it screws up only a little bit, and you think the composition is pretty good, or it's like close, you can hit variation. And it'll do like different styles, and then you can look at these and you can be like, okay, that one sucks, this one sucks, this one sucks, this one, like, what's going on with the head. But we
gotta wear a bike helmet to work in the field. We
can do variations on that one, and we can keep doing variations and kind of gradually step our way towards something that we don't totally hate.
Sure.
Like, and then this also has upscale will like add more detail to it and stuff, or the make variations button. And then usually with Midjourney, like, see, this is okay. I'm gonna look at it when it's actually done. Like, these are the variations on that one, and now I look at these and I try to find which one is worst. And you can do two. Like, it's just a matter of how many jobs you want to send it. You have a limited number of fast jobs, so you have an unlimited number of relaxed. So I usually just spam it a bunch, and I'm just like, hey, give me like a variation on this, variation on this, variation on this, and then I try to go through and I try to separate the wheat from the chaff, and you can see that. You can see that in Midjourney sometimes, where it's like I'm trying to get these to look more like what I want, and I'm trying to narrow it down, and a lot of like variations on the same prompt. You change like little things. You try to understand what it thinks when you say a ball of garbage, right? And the difference between what it thinks when you say colossal ball of garbage,
sure.
Right? And so you try to find words. It's probably too far down, but I was trying to. There's a character in This Used to Be About Dungeons, and I would describe her as stocky, right? She's supposed to look like she can throw a shot put. And if you put in stocky, you're like stocky redhead woman and like other descriptors and stuff. It just I can actually show you. Oops. Like it's probably going to screw this up in the way that I think it will. But you say stocky, and it does these like wayfish fantasy protagonists. And so I was putting in. Oh, you will probably also see this right here looks like it's going to be a duplication error. There's going to be like two people here. These are called hallucinations, where it like adds an object or a person that you didn't ask for, or one more counting errors. So you can see it was going to do two, and it's like diffusing it down.
Huh.
And now it's like kind of this weird face, because it's trying to correct its errors as it's like refining it. I do like this, that you can see the. But yeah, this I would not describe any of these women as stocky at all. So I put in like 30 different descriptors, like heavy set or like overweight, and I was trying to get that like
could you do
what I meant.
Sure.
And it's so hard. So many of them just like turn out like this. It's like that word doesn't mean anything. You can do a trick where you add in like stocky twice, and it adds more weight to it. Midjourney also has I don't use it very much but you can do like stocky 3 or whatever, and woman 1. So this is variant weights. So you want a lot of weight on stocky and not very much on woman. Why is that invalid? Invalid weight. Okay. Oh, I think there needs to be a space. I'm not going to try this too much because Nope. I don't want that. Is it the comma? Okay, Midjourney has like complicated weight systems that kind of suck. Okay, fine. Can we just do? I got Discord Nitro and it actually just like sucks a lot. Okay, so it's gonna try more on the stocky side. We've put more weight on that, so it's gonna try, in theory, to have more of it. The other cool thing you can do with Midjourney is you can take here, we're just going to go to ArtStation real quick and find this. So we just copy the image address, and the other cool thing that Midjourney does is variations of images. So I just do that, and I'm saying, all right, and I'll paste it here so people can see it, but it's this guy. So as soon as this job starts, what it's going to do is it's going to try to make its own version of that matches the semantic content, like what's in the picture, and matches the style content. And it's not going to do a very good job because it doesn't look very much like the things that it's good at making. Future models in like Stable Diffusion is much better at this, but you can't run it from the web. You have to use the command line interface, which sucks, and they don't really have very much built for it. So this is stocky 2. So we do get a stockier woman, but like further away and stuff. And you like, there are ways of specifying like mid close and stuff to like try to get it to do what you want, but it's very difficult to control composition. So here it sees this, it tries to make variations on it, and that's not like this face isn't right at all. This I don't know what that is, but like this is kind of okay. But you can do this, and then the other thing that you can do for the image feeding, which is really cool, is you can do that in, and you can say image weight 5, and then I also want a prompt added, glowing eyes. Hopefully that's the right. Oh god, unrecognized art. Okay, this is how it used to work. Okay. Here, let's do glowing eyes. Okay, so now it's feeding the image in, and so we have the prompt and we have the image. So it's going to try to use that image with glowing eyes. Yeah, okay, well, it used to work that you used to be able to do image weight whatever, and it would properly parse it, even if the prompt stuff was after the image weight stuff. So now it's going to try to do. It's going to take this image as input and the argument of glowing eyes, and it's going to try to do something. Usually you want image weight at like 5, because that'll boost up how much influence it's getting from the image. And you can also feed in 2 images, and it'll try to do a combination of those. And it kind of sucks right now. It's going to be better in 6 months or a year or whatever. This is a very very fast to market low weight version of this. It'll actually probably be better in like a week because they have Stable Diffusion tacked onto it. Yeah, here we like, because there's not that much image weight, we don't get that much of this dude from it, but it's trying, right? It does its best. Okay, so that's all like variations and stuff. It's some cool stuff if you have like different influences. You want to throw in like 3 pictures and it'll try to mash them up and like maybe give you some inspiration or something. Cool. But it does very average things, and like that guy's not bad, you know? The framing is terrible on it. but like this is this is just like awful. This is pretty awful. This is, you know, like compared to the input image, this guy's probably the best of them. So we could do variations on him.
So, like, if I wanted to take something that was in my style, which it's not gonna necessarily know or have a lot of information on,
Yeah.
and you know, say I want to, I don't know, try something that I wouldn't normally do, yeah, like how would that work with that? Can it match my style?
Okay, it can match some stuff. So that's some rocks. So we'll see what it thinks about that, right?
Sure.
And this is we're roughly matching the aspect ratio. I'm not sure that it understands because this is like a salt wash.
Sure. Yep.
I don't know that it's going to understand. It might understand salt wash, but it's going to try its best to pick up on the style here and the fact that it's a bunch of rocks.
Sure.
And so I think it'll probably get that it's a bunch of rocks. I'm not sure how closely it probably understands that this is watercolor.
Yep. And even the, you know, at 35%, it looks watercolory, but I guess that could also be.
No, it'll probably end up looking, you know, it won't look quite like that, but it'll look, you know, this is getting, you know,
it's close.
Okay. And then, you know, with upscaling, especially like detailed upscaling, you get more of that in. And then if we wanted to, we could do, this probably will not work very well. Try that. Okay. So this is going to try to make an oil painting of that.
Sure.
In theory, there will be enough of, it'll get the rocks, and then it'll try to do this in an oil painting style.
Oh, that's cool. It actually turned out really, like, you can see the salt wash, yeah.
Yeah, and so, like, here, we can try, which one do you want to upscale? There's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Let's upscale 1.
Okay. So yeah, this is now taking that image and it's going to try and upscale it and stuff. I don't know that this is going to work to do oil painting, but in theory what you can do is you can change the style of something. You feed it the input image and you change the style, or you feed it the input image and you change the semantic content. You change, like, you're like, actually, do like these rocks, but do it as a duck.
Sure.
Right? You can do like these rocks, but an oil painting of a duck. And it would try, at least.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
I mean, we can definitely try that. This doesn't, you know, here, I will do, but this is like, these models are super easy to, like, get nonsense results from.
Oh, okay. That's so cool. Yeah, some of those turned out really cool.
This is oil painting that is done. So yeah,
I like it.
It's not oil painting?
No, it looks more like watercolor, but it actually, I think, you know, I can see where it would be a useful tool. Because it's giving, you know, it's giving me inspiration on something. I'm like, oh, I really like that, like, bottom picture number 4, which I don't think I would have come up with, but seeing it now, it's in my head, and you know, I'm like, cool, maybe I want to try to create something like that.
Yeah, I try to be vague with my prompts, and then let me see what it is, because I think when I have the most trouble with it, oh yeah, this is not going to be a duck at all.
Nope.
I should have put more weight on duck or something. But I'm also asking it to do something that's nonsense, right?
Right.
Like, if I asked an artist that, they'd be like, man, you're a terrible client. But yeah, so what I do is I try to be very loose with the prompts, see what it comes up with, and then try to use upscaling and variance to like, try to pull something usable out of it.
Sure.
And because if I start with an image in my head, and I'm trying to get it to make that image, it usually sucks. What was this? This was oil painting of a duck, yeah. I could lower the image weight on this, so it's influenced less by the image and more by the prompt.
Sure.
But...
if you, like, before you had Stocky and Woman and you upped the weight on both of those?
Yes. You can actually do negative weight. You can do... it's like no, you can do like like this doesn't really make sense, but the no parameter, this makes a negative weight onto water.
Okay.
So it'll try to do ocean without the water. And it'll probably fail because it's like, oh, there's actually water in oceans.
Yeah, yeah.
But you can. Yeah, you can also do whatever it is and put a negative weight on that way. Like no is just a shortcut. Oh, 2 and 3 are actually 0.4 and 0.6. Interesting to know. I assume that this is actually going to do water. I think it's going to see ocean and be like, there's got to be some water here. But, it'll try. It's one way of trying to eliminate things from a picture that you really don't want to see. Like, if there's a word that has two meanings. Like when I say like a field, it'll often do like rows, and I don't want it to be rows. I want it to just be like prairie grass.
Sure.
So you can rephrase it in a different way, but you can also say like no rows, and it'll try. It's not very good, I would say. Okay, forest, ocean. That's whatever. It's okay. Sorry, this is like finished version. Sometimes you like look at the unfinished version. I think that's it tried. There's a lot of comparing that you do when you're trying to make something, is you just like try to play with the weights a lot and do regeneration and stuff like that. But I think we are done with this for now because I wanted to show you one last thing, which is in painting. I'll change the capture to this. Okay, so close that. Close that. Okay, so DALL-E is the only one that has a UI for in-painting. In theory, Midjourney will be able to do it. Stable Diffusion can do it, but only through the command line interface at the moment. They're going to be updating this in the next month or two to have full functionality. In painting is okay. So let's say we have this guy, this wizard, right? DALL-E only does squares, but so we say like they're like, hey, what square area do you want to edit? And we'll say this, and then we can either generate variations of it. Just like Midjourney does, which is fine. Or we can edit it and we can say like this area. Cool. And we say what we want there. We want hands holding plate. Asking DALL-E to do hands is not quite fair. Because
hands are hard.
Hands are hard, especially for the AI, and so now it's going to try to fill that space with what we asked for.
Okay.
And it can do that for different areas of the picture, and then you can download it and then like re-upload it, and be like, okay, I want him to have a hat. I want him to have an awesome hat on his head. And I could have specified oil painting here, but in theory, it picks up from the context. Okay, so here's the original, and then these are the in painting that it's done. Right?
Yeah, which actually...
That's close. This is, like, not bad. For like...
The hands are better than they were on the first...
Yeah, well, because this first one is Stable Diffusion. So we took an image from Stable Diffusion, which has worse hands than DALL-E. Mm-hmm. And also, here, it's trying to make a full image. Or Stable Diffusion was. I think this was Stable Diffusion. It's trying to make a full image, and so each individual part it will be worse at. But here, DALL-E is just being asked to do one hand.
Sure.
And that's the easiest way for it to do one hand, as opposed to like a business person who has eyes and teeth and hands and all these things. And it's like, man, I have to juggle all these things. I don't know how to do that. So, but yeah, this for being like, fractions of a penny and like 5 seconds. This is fast work. This like, I've had a lot of trouble with playing cards because he's supposed to be holding cards, and I want them to look like magical fantasy cards, and it's like, oh, you mean playing cards? And it's like, no, I don't mean playing cards. And then I asked for a tarot card, and it's like, oh, did you want tarot card art? Like, did you want the artwork that goes on a tarot
okay.
card, and there's certain things that are very difficult. But you can, so you'd have to do here is you have to like take this, download it, re-edit it into the picture. There's also a really cool thing that you can do is if you have the transparencies on it in like Photoshop, you can do upload, and then for in painting you have like two different pictures and then like a strip of transparency between them, and then when you in paint, it'll try to match up those two pictures.
Okay.
So this is like Photoshop's content aware fill on crack.
Yep.
It is so much more powerful because you can just specify the thing that you want there,
Sure.
and it's reasonably good. Especially for how fast and how cheap it is. Like obviously an artist would do better than that, but so this is in painting is very cool. Dolly has some stupid monetization stuff that I don't want to deal with, and I didn't have access to this until like a week ago, and it's hard to like. They have like a monthly thing that I think is super dumb. I think you should just be able to like load $10 into it and get credits or whatever. But Dolly's the one that does this in its normal UI, but you also can't access Dolly unless you get on the wait list, and sometimes they'll leave you waiting for like 3 months. And I'm in fact still waiting. I got this from Alyssa had an account, and she got on the wait. She was on the wait list like 2 months after me. And then she got approved, and then a separate email address she'd put in also got approved. And I'm like, it seems like it sucks for me. So this is, I have like maybe 40 generations here as opposed to Dream, where I put in like $10 last night. It's like 1,000 generations.
Yeah, super cool.
Which is super cheap. Do you want to play with this now?
Yeah.
We can switch chairs.
Cool.
And that's all that I have. There's a lot of stuff I'm sure you will find frustrating.
So can I, if I type like in like the style of me, is it gonna not have enough information?
Not have enough information.
Okay, and that's what I figured, that it wouldn't have enough information to.
Yeah, it probably has seen like one or two of your pictures, but unless you are one of the top like 100 most famous artists in the Western world,
It's not gonna know.
It knows a few Eastern ones as well, I guess. But.
So, could I do like a
I tried K-Kurt, actually.
Yeah, did you?
And it did not know enough.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, she had a profile in the New York Times.
Right,
right. She
but
she was
not
like reasonably famous.
Sure.
Like, but not one of the top 100.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. If I wanted to just go like a style, like if I wanted to go like, hey,
just try it.
Surrealism. Okay, so say I want to do a cow, I don't know, a cow eating a steak. Oh, I could learn how to spell first.
This was also my ergonomic keyboard,
which I'm not used to. And then I would go. Could I just go surrealism?
Yeah. You can do in the style of surrealism or a surrealist picture. It doesn't really matter that much. Like, they will give slightly different results, but...
And then could I go, like, could I specify a...
Heat off. Okay.
Could I specify a color scheme? For example, could I say, like, blues?
You could try.
Okay, let's see what happens.
Yeah. And I have 1,000, or... 1,000, you can just... What I do, if I don't like...
Cool. I mean, it's...
That steak is wonky, but,
it's a wonky steak,
this is almost kind of what you asked for.
Yeah, it is. Minus the blues.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, hit Dream again.
Okay, so...
You can just, like, hit that button over and over. This is part of what's addictive about it, is you don't get something quite right, and you're like, oh, make a variation. Huh.
Alright, that has some, like, Dolly stuff going on.
Yeah, I don't know why the cow is so much less realistic. Like... I guess it's surrealism, so maybe there.
Can I go blue color palette? Would that change things?
I don't know. I think it's one of those...
Blue color? Blue color...
You could do palette.
Palett?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I think
Autocorrect.
it's there.
Autocorrect
that's
will
right.
save you.
No, but it's not right. Palette. No. TDE. I don't know. It's amazing how I can...
It also accepts misspellings.
Cool. Perfect.
Because those are in its training data. That's slightly...
What? It was a weird random tater tot.
Yeah.
Let's see. There we go. I don't know why
I don't know how much that'll improve things for you.
Oh, that's
It does have some blue
very
in it.
weird. Okay, so let's take out blue. Cow eating a steak. I don't know. Surrealism. In the style. Does it matter where I put this?
Not really. You can also just say by. Works too.
Probably gonna misspell that too. Okay.
I think by works slightly better.
Okay.
Like you're claiming. Yeah, you partly that's a good point. Is that partly the you need to think about what's in the training data, and you don't always know that. And like you do get different results if you're like Henry Magritte, if that's his name.
Huh. That's kind of interesting. Okay, so let's try something else. Let's see. What do I want to see? Let's say it is made out of pearls. I mean, that's just simple, but what's that going to give me?
Yeah, it's it might give you dice and pearls.
Okay.
That's good.
I can see that.
If you increase the grid or the number of images to 9, you're much more likely to get
Like something I can use there.
Yeah. Like, so if you just hit dream again, you're much more likely to get something where you're like, oh yes, that's actually what I meant.
Yeah, I can see where color palette wouldn't be mentioned, but I can also see the application where that would be actually super handy to have that on. Huh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like it.
I like I like that.
This number 6 over here. Yeah.
It's not what my interpretation of that would have been.
No, and a lot of these are not what my interpretation would have been.
Yeah, and it can be very difficult to try to get it to just do what you mean.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of I don't know. So if I am going, let's say I'm going Iceland, fjord, in the style of... Okay, I'm going to go, one of my favorite artists is Lauren Harris, who's relatively well known. I mean, I think well known enough to... and then we'll go watercolor. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oop.
And yeah, a lot of
Yeah, and that's actually pretty close. Like a lot of his stuff is really similar to like that or this. He has a series. But say I want to go like something he didn't do, and we're gonna go like South Africa.
Yeah, the promise of this is that you can get like stuff that an artist never did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's super cool. I mean, and he didn't work in watercolor, but that's actually super. I would say that that's really close to, or some of the images are really close. Where if I saw it, I'd be like, oh, that looks like a Lauren Harris. You know,
Kind of like that top right, the number 3.
This one.
I think that's my favorite of those.
Which though doesn't really look stylistically all that much like his. Like I would say,
really
like
South Africa to me either.
No.
But I've been trying to like find what I like from the AI, and most of it's accidental. Most of it's hard to say how much is accidental because in theory it has learned rules of composition through studying billions of artworks or
Sure.
whatever. But
Okay, what if we go Duluth?
I've had bad luck with Duluth.
And do you have to go to Duluth, Minnesota?
So Duluth, Minnesota is going to get you different results from just Duluth.
Okay.
So you would probably, but I don't know. I've had it does not. I've never been able to get an AI to generate the Duluth aerial lift bridge. Like the top, well, like none of these scream Duluth to me. I think Duluth is
Right.
just
I mean, this one kind of bottom left is
That's kind of close.
kind of close.
I think Duluth, Minnesota is a little too obscure. Doesn't know it. I've never gotten. I've tried the aerial lift bridge on a number of these and never gotten it. Maybe I'll have better luck, but.
What about Inger Tower?
That I don't think you're gonna get.
I don't think so either.
I think it'll be a generic tower. Which is a problem with this, right? Is that it will trend toward genericness.
Right. This is actually
That's close-ish.
kind of close.
Yeah, it's kind of close.
Huh. I mean, it's super interesting. Like just seeing some of the things they come up with, like, make me, at least I think, inspired, or think of a place or a thing that I haven't seen or heard, or, like think of before. It really is cool to kind of use that as an idea generator, and I can imagine for writing too.
Yeah, well, for writing, it's frustrating because I want specific scenes. I can see them in my mind. I have a composition in mind, and I'm like, okay, like I had. I'm gonna show it to you real quick. I think it's in my bookmarks, but I really liked this composition. Some of the details are like crap on it, but I like this composition of one person here and a whole bunch of other people here.
Sure.
And the prompt was cast out of the Church of Symmetry. And I really liked this interpretation. I feel like this is random, right?
Yeah.
But I liked this idea that you have this one person standing off to the side and your eyes are kind of drawn to them. And that's not what I had been picturing when I put this in, but it to me spoke well to it. So I put it in my bookmarks. Like, these are a lot of ones where I was like happy with what came out in some way.
Well, and I think too, like, I mean, when I'm painting, sometimes I'll start with an idea and it doesn't, like, that idea changes a lot as I'm actually painting, and I kind of have to let the painting tell me what direction it's going in, which sounds really kind of corny, but maybe that happens to you writing too.
It definitely does.
Where it's like, I wasn't expecting that this was going to go this direction, but this is the direction it wants to go in, so we're going this direction. And
I think a lot of my problem is I'm doing fantasy, and I have like specific fantastical things. Like if I'm just trying to get a picture of a brunch spread, that's so easy, right?
Sure.
But if I'm trying to have a specific monster that has a specific description, what I've had way better luck with is trying to get the AI to generate something and then just write it to go the other way with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. How much like how verbose can you be in your...
You can get very, very long.
So can you like just take a paragraph that you've written and insert that in, or is there just too much detail?
You can. It will leave things out.
Okay.
And it will misinterpret, and I think with Stable Diffusion, which is the most high-powered one I have access to, this is going to be blown away in like a year's time. Like, you can look at the research papers, and these things are not that hard to train. I mean, relatively. Obviously you want a PhD and a big team and like tens of millions of dollars. But
other than that, not that difficult.
Other than that, not that difficult. But like the party one from Google, you can do verbose descriptions and it'll actually work here. I'm going to show you this paper real quick.
Yeah.
It's got lots of pretty examples. Okay, this is so this is some of what it can do. You can see this is better than
sharper quality.
But yes, so here you can this is specified a portrait photo of a kangaroo wearing an orange hoodie and blue sunglasses standing in front of the Sydney Opera House holding a sign on chest that says "Welcome, friends." This is how it does.
Okay.
Right? That is very specific.
Yep.
And has a lot of compositional elements. You could try doing that in Stable Diffusion, and you'll see how much incredibly worse it is. I've never actually tried this, so maybe it's going to surprise me, but Stable Diffusion can't spell,
Okay.
or it can't spell very well. So it tried, but it's a smaller model and it doesn't have as much neat technology.
Sure.
I don't know how many parameters it is, but and so yeah, you know, you can specify stuff. This is how the different size affects it. So this is the best one that they have, and you can see like it's able to do like different stuff. Like all these violins are terrible except for this one. This is like the correct thing. And then they have these verbose descriptions. This is a long description of Starry Night here.
Okay.
And so you can see it has all the individual elements. It has the tree on the left, and it has the chapel, and it has the like stars in the sky for the most part, and the like village in the background and stuff like that.
It almost seems like it would be. It's kind of almost like speaking to somebody who doesn't speak English as a native language, where you have to like, you know, when they don't understand a word, you have to go back and you have to really think about what it is that you're trying to say and break it down to kind of the simplest.
Yeah, and you want
simplest form, or you know.
Yeah, there are interesting errors that crop up a lot. One I've seen for Van Gogh, other than Starry Night just blowing everything else out, like it'll Midjourney for a while did this thing, or maybe it was Wombo, which is a different one that's worse, which is why I'm not showing it to you. But Wombo did this thing where if you asked it for in the style of Van Gogh, it would try its hardest to sneak Starry Night into everything. So you're like a mug in the style of Van Gogh, and it would be a mug with Starry Night on it.
Yeah.
And you would be like a woman in front of a window, and like you'd do the woman in front of the window, kind of, because it's not very good. But and then outside the window would be Starry Night.
Huh.
And like Starry Night on curtains. Every sky has Starry Night on it. Like the umbrella over a cafe table has Starry Night pattern on it. But that's just because of oversampling. But yeah, so that this is they discuss some limitations here, but this is a plate that has no bananas on it. So these models can be really, really bad at negation, but that's because I think they don't have negative weight in party. So there's a glass without orange juice. So like, you know,
it also makes sense. I mean, like, why would you type in a plate that has no bananas? Like,
yeah,
I think like the way you phrase things, like I don't know.
But this has a lot of cool stuff. This is more advanced. This or something like it is eventually going to be made public, but we don't have one right now. But yeah, this is like, this can handle more verbose descriptions. This is where the technology is going.
Yeah.
Because we cannot do stuff like this right now. We can get close. Like I like these. These are detailed charcoal sketch.
Yeah.
Right. Of like actual things. I was going to show you the watercolor ones. Yeah, these are like cappuccino art. If I can find it. I could open up the actual paper, or I could just keep scrolling down. But
I don't know. I like the scrolling down. It's interesting to see.
Yeah. These detailed, or downtown Manhattan at sunrise, detailed ink wash. So these are like, you know, like the reflection that it's able to do there is really good. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I was looking at some of these, and these are very you can just put in a city, and as long as it knows the city or has seen enough of it in its training data, it's able to, you know, these are probably not very accurate, but like to the actual city, but like you would definitely look at this and you'd be like, okay, like
that's Seattle.
That's
right,
Seattle, right?
Yep.
I don't know about the others, but I don't know what Austin looks like, but
that's actually relatively. I mean, if I saw that, I would think Austin.
Yeah, but this is where the technology is going. There's, to my knowledge, the best we have access to is Stable Diffusion, which is not quite there in certain respects. You can still make art with it, or things that are, you know, we don't need to talk about like what is art.
Yeah.
But
it's a long conversation.
But it can make some interesting things. Okay, I'm gonna go check on Alyssa and make sure she's getting the boy and stuff. He's got stuff. If you want to play around, that's fine. Otherwise, you can say goodbye and hit end stream.
Cool.
But I'll be downstairs for just a sec.
I am gonna play around. So I want to go all different. Okay, so...
Yeah, I've seen some comparisons of like how it does different artists, because you can keep the seed the same and then sometimes vary it. And, get like how it does like different portrait styles. If you do Vermeer, it'll almost always plagiarize Girl with Pearl Earring.
Okay.
Here,
let's see if we can get them. Actually, that's super cool.
Yeah, like you get a cool thing every now and then, and you're like, oh, this like I actually like this. But yeah, this is, I think, in painting.
What if I did the opposite? What if I did in the style of Girl with a Pearl Earring?
You can do that too. But yeah, for Stable Diffusion especially, Girl with Pearl Earring is just so incredibly oversampled. Yeah, it's just giving you.
It's just giving me Girl.
It ignores everything else. It's like, oh, I know how to do that one.
Yeah.
But even if you do in the style of Vermeer, sometimes it'll plagiarize it. If you just do like portrait in the style of, or like portrait of a politician in the style of Vermeer, it'll just be like, oh, you wanted a girl with a pearl earring, right? So.
I like this. We'll go back to Monet. Even a landfill can look beautiful.
Yeah. Is it a landfill?
Yep. I mean, is it a landfill? Maybe that's why it looks beautiful, because you can't tell landfill in any of these. Yeah. So then I could give more weight to landfill if I wanted to.
Not in Stable Diffusion.
Okay, not in Stable Diffusion.
Yet. I think being able to edit weights directly is probably coming, because I don't think that's that difficult to implement. But
what if I just went straight up?
You can just copy it twice. What you can do is you can copy it twice. You could do
Nocturne of a Lantern, Nocturne of a Landfill.
Yeah. That kind of works. It has diminishing returns. That's less beautiful.
Yeah. And then if I just went painting?
Yeah. So yeah,
or I guess oil painting.
It'll try. One of the things I suggest is just like, and I can show you real quick. If you go to the prompt guide, once it's done doing this, if it is going to be done.
It doesn't like me.
It might not be done.
It's probably because I'm a horrible speller.
It might be. Okay. So yeah, those are like.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one of the things they suggest, this is a very, very simple prompt guide. I'm kind of not sure why they picked this one of all the prompt guides I've read, but so yeah, they say artists, they're different styles, but find artists who have painted the thing that you want and also have the style that you want. And then like here, you can add like stuff like this, like trending on ArtStation, triadic color scheme. I don't actually know what that is. Sharp focus.
Oh, yeah. My keys are in my purse.
There's a deer in the backyard, sitting right down. It scared the bejesus out of me.
Yeah, that's the deer. But yeah, you can add all this kind of stuff. You can add like post-processing, picture of the day, and epic composition. I have not found epic composition to actually make epic compositions. But...
mediocre composition.
Yeah. And also, every time you click away to like prompt guide and you go back, it's like, oh, were you looking at something? This UI needs work, but like I said, history is like all the...
It'd be interesting to see if I could like get one, like say, get my dog, if I could describe him well enough to see if they could do a painting of him.
I mean, what you could do for Stable Diffusion doesn't have the technology for it yet, but you could feed it a picture of your dog.
Sure.
And then just say painting.
Sure.
Like oil painting.
Yeah.
And it would try its best.
Huh.
But you could also try to describe your dog. It gets difficult because... it misunderstands stuff and sometimes will exaggerate things. If you like woman with sharp cheekbones, sometimes they'll just be like the sharpest cheekbones you could possibly, like alien sharpness to the cheekbones,
I'm gonna try this. This is gonna be a very weird result, I feel like, because of how I wrote it.
Yeah. There's a lot of prompt engineering stuff that it just takes some time to.
That's not that far off, really.
No.
Like.
One of the things I really like about the AI art stuff.
What if I write nice? Because that one looks really mean.
One of the things I really like about the AI art stuff is that it makes decisions.
Yeah.
Like that or the background it chose for that. It could have chosen image could not be generated. Is that nicer?
I don't know. It's like nicer, but also worse. I don't.
But yeah, sometimes the things that you didn't specify. There, I think it's putting a flag in the
Behind
background.
it, yeah.
But it decided on a meadow that time, or on a grassy area.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting like decisions that are made on things that are left unspecified.
So black eyes. It's just so interesting to see like how much you can.
Yeah, and this is this
It's
is
so creepy.
yeah, it's like off center.
Yeah. I don't know.
There's it's so also super cheap. I usually do the 9 images, and then if I see one I like, it's
Yeah. Okay. So.
But I don't think when you switch number of images to 9, I don't think it actually costs you that much more because I think each one's smaller or something. But then you can copy the seed. The UI is going to be better in a week. The technology is going to be better in 6 months or a year. The misinterpretation of flag is the kind of thing that.
Yeah, it's just a super. It's a. I mean,
But
and
not
also
every
that's my
time.
term. But yeah, not every time. Yeah, I mean that's like not. That's not that far away.
Yeah.
It's really not. Huh. That's super
You
interesting.
could try posting it to Facebook and try and trick people.
Doesn't look quite enough with some retouching. That actually.
Well, yeah, but if you have to do retouching.
Yeah. Huh. That's super interesting.
Okay, well, we will end the stream there. That is everything that I can easily communicate about AI art. There's a lot that I find very frustrating, like the inability to do composition, the inability to do multiple subjects very well. Some of that you can fix with in-painting, but Stable Diffusion and Midjourney both suck for in-painting for now. Stable Diffusion mostly because there's no user interface for it. I want to be able to just like paint and then just have it work. But yeah, in 6 months or a year, it's gonna be looking like Party probably. We'll see how cheap they're able to make this. If it can still be fractions of a penny per image, which would be nice. But
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it changes things for
yeah, I like this
content and.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be able to have fully illustrated chapters.
Right.
To have like 2 or 3 pictures per chapter. So that would be great for me. It is not there yet without a lot of frustration. So, all right, that's it for the stream. If you were watching, thanks. And we'll have a VOD out and stuff. So thanks to Ani for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me. That was fun.
Yeah.
I've never streamed anything before, so,
Yeah, so-
you know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, I'll be streaming writing tomorrow. So, bye.